It was discovered that his Manistone mining business has attracted many investors, all from big families. The moment she saw the boy again, his battered appearance caused Lulu to worry. She wanted to show concern for the boy and let him get proper treatment, but this triggered a warning from the system. So Lulu immediately pretended to be a villainess, saying, "I'm your master, so you should learn to respect me." To prevent the boy from becoming dependent, she actually acted like the villainess from novels. This angered the boy so much that he immediately flared up, throwing off the hand on his body. "So you want to play slave games? I won't cooperate with you." Lulu's hand stung, but on the surface, she maintained an extremely arrogant appearance. The boy didn't want to continue living like this, so he requested to atone for attacking the Duke's son with his life. However, how could Lulu possibly agree? She said if you want to ask for something, you should have the right attitude. Otherwise, join the game of naive nobles, you're still somewhat useful. Becoming a killing toy should be interesting. The boy, suppressing his anger, said through gritted teeth, "Please just kill me, master." The last two words clearly took all of his strength, seeing that she had successfully angered him. Lulu thought this would surely help her avoid the fate of an obsessive male lead, so she quickly made an excuse to leave. Suddenly, she turned her head and asked for the boy's name, but the boy said he didn't have such a thing. This made her heart ache involuntarily. She didn't expect him to be just like her former self. She's even punished by not being allowed dinner for a whole week. Later, the wicked cousin Clara adds insult to injury. Originally, this kind of thing had many variables. They didn't dare to act rashly before confirming the quality of the mana stones. Suddenly, a discordant voice rang out. The guard who witnessed everything excitedly banged on the wall. "I never thought I'd live to see the young lady look so cool." Before Lulu could recover from this bizarre situation, a bad premonition approached her again. Sure enough, Dill, with eyes sparkling, volunteered. "I want to call you master too," but he was flatly rejected by Lulu, who even called it disgusting. Unable to bear the blow, he ran away crying. At this time, Earl Caldo unconsciously sighed, lamenting how hard Lulu's life must be. This made Lulu feel like she had found a kindred spirit, but unexpectedly, Caldo suddenly leaned close to her ear, saying, "Haven't you been sending me messages lately?" Lulu was completely speechless. Why was it so hard to find a normal friend? That day, the maids learned about Viscount Dill's deeds. Lulu described what happened with disdain, but the maids defended this Count Dill, saying he was handsome and talented. He was many people's dream lover. After listening, Lulu seriously explained that Uncle Dill was too frivolous. She said she'd only feel something if a celibate or seductive man called her master, and they should only flatter me, not smile at others. Everyone thought it made sense, but they noticed something strange. But because of a rumor saying that the Elitan family might also be investing, everyone rushed to join in. How could the young lady know about such things at such a young age? Lulu didn't know how to explain for a moment. After all, she was just a 5-year-old kid now, so she could only blame it on Clara. "Oh my, our young lady is so innocent. She's been corrupted. You're too young to know about this." Forget it quickly. Speaking of Clara, Lulu suddenly felt strange. Normally, when a new character appears, a new task would be issued. But the system only encouraged her to kill the person. Could the boy be the rumored male lead? So to completely avoid the path of an obsessive male lead and turn him into a soft and cute little machi, Lulu made a bold decision to save the male lead but not get entangled. She used her ability to transform into an old granny. This action came at a huge cost. Not only did she use 5,000 gold coins to put the ability to catch crystal bombs into storage, but she also spent money to draw a new ability. Please forget me, it was a perfect transformation using magical items. Avoiding the male lead's gaze, the ability could only last for 1 hour. The Duke analyzes the possibility of the rumor spreading. Either these people will invest unrelated to the Duke's mansion, or Marquis to link elite the information to those. Lulu thought that an old granny with a warm embrace would surely create beautiful memories for the boy. She had also experimented on the way here. The effect was obviously excellent, but unexpectedly, the boy reacted strongly the moment he saw her. He even asked what she was doing as if he could see her true appearance. However, Lulu didn't think there was any problem and continued to communicate in the old granny's tone. "You brat, is that how you talk to Granny?" Saying this, she began putting things on the ground, arranging them. I'm here to clean up for you. Or do you want to wipe it yourself? The boy was very angry. He directly threw her hand away, but he paused after seeing the girl's expression. Lulu was secretly surprised by his reaction. As expected of a romance novel, it made this fierce little cat develop a sense of respect for elders. But with only 1 hour at a time, she couldn't delay any longer. So Lulu forced the boy to be helpless and started wiping him down. If you want to do it yourself, you need to behave well. Lulu accidentally blurts out her inner thoughts. That's good for both of us, isn't it? After a simple cleanup, the boy's original face clearly appeared. Lulu couldn't help but marvel. It was truly breathtakingly beautiful. Losing such beauty would be a loss for humanity. She hoped he would definitely meet a good person in the future and have 12 children. Who knows if Lulu would regret having such thoughts later. After being released from paralysis, the boy tried to drive her out again. Seeing this, Lulu stuffed the prepared bread into his mouth. The sword was immediately thrown away. Lulu had an as expected look on her face. She took out another one and put it in his hand. If you don't want to eat now, keep it for later. Eating well helps your body recover. If your body feels unwell, you'll have many bad thoughts, so eat well and get better quickly. Before leaving, she threatened the boy, if you don't eat, Granny will paralyze you next time and force feed you. After doing all this, Lulu changed back to her original form. But on her way back, she encountered her father with just one glance. Her father saw the wound on her arm. Instantly, the scene becomes as quiet as a mouse. Obviously, something's very wrong. Only then did Lulu realize she had been scratched by the boy earlier. If she told the truth, her father would definitely rush over and kill him. So she could only lie and say it was accidentally cut by grass. The next moment, the Duke took Lulu to the place where she was injured. He simply announced a death sentence to the gardeners, just as Lulu breathed a sigh of relief. The Duke spoke again, this is not enough. Burn all the grass within my daughter's reach. To protect the boy, she lied that the wound on her hand was cut by grass. Unexpectedly, her crazy father angrily wanted to burn all the grass. Although Lulu had long experienced her father's outrageous behavior, she was still too shocked to speak. So she could only use her unique skill again. Lulu pitifully stated that these little grasses were all her friends. This barely stopped the Duke's actions. Afterwards, Lulu lived a very fulfilling life. Not only did her career progress smoothly, but she also spent harmonious times with her family. Even her relationship with the boy improved. The feisty little cat finally showed some response. Although they still kept their distance. You still don't want to tell Granny your name? I can't keep calling you brat. The Duke angrily explodes on the spot. The boy looked indifferent, so Lulu deliberately said she would call him Little Flower Dog. Unexpectedly, the boy replied contemptuously, that name suits a slave well. Lulu hurriedly explained that names are very important, let's give you a name later. But I heard this young lady's attitude towards you is very bad. Is that true? Lulu stammered as she asked, just wanted to know the boy's opinion of her. Unexpectedly, the boy put on a pitiful look. She said she wanted to turn me into a killing doll. She also said my face is pretty and could be used as a plaything. Lulu quickly explained she's young and doesn't know better, that's why she said such things. It's best to forget about it quickly. Is that so? But she threatened me so confidently, it didn't seem like a child at all. Lulu was already trembling with fear. That demon is you. After leaving here, you want to take revenge on her, right? The boy didn't answer and fell asleep in a second. This made Lulu even more uneasy, stopping mid-sentence. What exactly did he want, but based on their recent interactions? Lulu felt he wasn't a bad child. Why did the demons say he was dangerous? To brainwash the boy, she quietly approached his ear. She said, you can't become a big bad guy in the future, and you definitely can't kill me. A gesture from the girl unexpectedly calms down the Duke, whose magical energy was raging. Just now, Lulu accidentally blurted out her inner thoughts during the meeting. You should meet a nice girl and have 12 children with her. That's the most direct way for you to contribute to humanity. After repeating it many times, Lulu finally left satisfied. The boy, who woke up much later, was surprised by his own changes. He didn't expect to fall asleep so often after coming here. All the changes stem from that girl called Lulu. actually having someone who could understand and made him very happy, but her sudden mischievous reaction later made him fall into despair again. At that time, she said he didn't even have the freedom to choose death. How is that any different from those people at the auction house? But unexpectedly, after just a few days, the girl appeared with a completely different face. And she had the eyes of the heart that could see through the truths. So from a day, Lulu transformed into an old granny. He could always see the girl's true appearance in her eyes. Although the interaction process was somewhat humiliating in those blue eyes, there seemed to be a vast sky he had never touched before. The unknown felt both terrifying and cruel. It even made him have thoughts he never had before. Instantly, everyone's eyes are focused on her. With no choice, she can only explain what happened. The boy was under an unprecedented vicious curse. As soon as he gained a bit of health and peace, the restriction would be triggered, making him suffer terribly. A week had passed since their last meeting. Lulu congratulated her brother on Count Card becoming the head of the Senate. Although it was expected, it was still worth being happy about. However, in the next second, two jealous guys popped up. How can this guy be Cotton Candy's brother? Isn't Lulu my sister? The boy hurriedly explained. The young lady doesn't know my name yet. That's why she calls me that. Lulu also quickly smoothed things over. I actually came today because of this matter. In fact, Carter had given his son a name on the day they met. But obviously, the boy wanted to tell Lulu his name himself. My name is Arthur. The boy's voice trembled slightly. You could feel the excitement in his heart. This name was chosen by his mother and father back then. Lulu warmly praised that it was a good name. They must have decided on it while eagerly anticipating your arrival and pondering deeply. Such warm words touched Arthur deeply. Uncle told a well-dressed man father has invested. He even showed that man evidence. Even the two dark gazes beside him could be ignored. But what Lulu was thinking was, I should decide on that child's name soon. Recently, because her transformation times were almost used up, she reduced her visits. But she always sent food and letters. Their relationship should be considered close now, right? At this time, Arthur hesitantly spoke up, expressing his desire to join the support team. Lulu agreed without any hesitation. Not only because he was Daphne's son and had the ability to control water, more importantly, his name and hair color fit perfectly with her team. It was just too great. Just then an attendant approached. He seems to be in life-threatening danger now. Upon hearing this, Lulu immediately ran off without caring about anything else. He seemed so healthy just a week ago. How did this suddenly happen? Her mind was in chaos. If it weren't for her brothers, she would have rolled down the stairs. Her brothers held her hands on both sides, giving her great comfort. It was a very beautiful card. Although it was black, it was shimmering. But when she actually saw the boy, she was still shocked by the scene before her. Several magicians surrounded him, suppressing him, but the restraining effect was very weak, and the content of the restriction was very vicious. It was health and peace, whether physically or mentally, any change for the better would cause him to suffer immense pain. As they were talking, the boy suddenly coughed up blood. That look in his eyes seemed to explain everything. They were back to square one, or even worse. Lulu's heart ached painfully. The magicians all expressed that they had never seen such a restriction before. Even if they spent a long time, they might not be able to research a solution. The hope was very slim. Hearing this, Lulu's heart sank. She showed a terrifying authority never seen before. So it can't be removed. The 4-year-old girl's gaze made the magicians extremely afraid. They immediately apologized for their incompetence. People who don't work hard don't deserve to eat. You'd better be more diligent in the future. In her heart, Lulu curses that demon. It's a card that looks like this. The issuer of this card is the Paradin Duke's family. However, they thought it was fortunate that even if the boy violated the restriction, he wouldn't die. He would just suffer because of it. Lulu didn't agree with this explanation. After all, the boy would endure great torment every moment he lived. But this isn't the magician's fault. I'm sorry for being too emotional and harsh. Please continue your investigation. After saying this, she turned and left. She secretly decided in her heart. No matter what, she would help the boy remove the restriction. After this, the boy was temporarily moved to an empty room for treatment. Meanwhile, Lulu desperately searched for answers in the literature, but a restriction that combined medicine, magic, curses, and even sacred power into one. No one could remove it, no matter who came. Indeed, after the magicians had an in-depth discussion, they came to the same conclusion. This made Lulu's expression suddenly freeze. Aren't the endings of fantasy novels always perfect? Why does he have to live such a painful life? How is that child's condition? His endurance is beyond imagination, although that kind of pain isn't something one can just endure by will. If it were others, they would have been given a large amount of painkillers by now. Lulu suddenly thought of something. Perhaps he has a force inside his body that can resist the restrictions pressure like ether. The magicians suddenly became agitated. Everyone is shocked instantly, some condemn the Marquis's crime. This was indeed an aspect they hadn't considered. After all, that child has two special abilities, you should have a high ether value. So there's a possibility that the ether is counteracting the restriction. Therefore, to treat it, we need to generate even stronger ether. But usually this is set at birth. Just then, the system suddenly issued a warning. If she continues to be involved, she won't be able to sever ties with this character. Dear reader, you are now standing at a fork in the road of fate. This might become a choice that completely shakes the predetermined future. Lulu remembered the demon. Once said he was the only one who could touch the boundaries of the law of cause and effect. Does this mean he can change destiny? Suddenly a prompt sounded, you have met the hidden conditions. Obtain special item Pioneer's Will. Various realms have noticed your existence. Lulu's eyes were immediately drawn to the detailed description. As a pioneer, she would never lose to a game of random probability numbers. This meant she could accurately choose whatever ability she wanted. So without hesitation, she drank the lucky potion, then she used the remaining lottery tickets. Some question the authenticity of this matter, some even doubt whether the Duke really gave money. She summoned the novel's treasure, Mississippi. Among thousands of ancient puzzles, she chose the ability she wanted. That was the ability to create miracles just by singing, generating a large amount of ether. Lulu's gaze gradually became determined. She hoped her assumption about the boy's restriction was correct. You must wait for me, born humble yet possessing the talent of an emperor. Thus, he was offered to the emperor by his birth mother in exchange for wealth, but at the moment he saw his mother's head fall. The young boy couldn't control his tears and cried uncontrollably. From then on, these unfortunate memories kept replaying over and over, more cruel than reality. Trapped in an eternal nightmare, he just wanted to die like this. But this time when the restriction activated, an unprecedented scene appeared. On the vast beach, that strange girl appeared. Yes, she was existence even more terrifying than nightmares. The next moment, the girl's song rang out, although it was hard to listen to. His heart became calmer than ever before. The dormant desire surged in his heart again. Kill me, if so, I want to die by your hands. Suddenly, a tear rolled down his face. You don't need to die, live on well. Although she verbally promised her father not to contact the boy, she still couldn't ignore him. Fortunately, the boy looked much better today. His physical condition had improved. His mental state couldn't be ignored either. Saying this, she again used her ability to transform into an old grandmother. She gently woke up the sleeping boy. If no man of stones are mined later, the Duke's family would be charged with fraud. The Duke behind remained silent. The boy immediately showed a shocked expression. He shouted for her to stay away. Lulu immediately understood the boy's concern. She warmly comforted him. It's all right, it's not contagious. After helping the boy sit up, she took out the nutritious porridge she had prepared in advance. But the boy became emotionally agitated because of this. He curled up into a ball. His fragile appearance evoked sympathy. His beautiful appearance further captivated Lulu. Coming to her senses, Lulu quickly slapped herself twice, reminding herself that she was now a grandmother taking care of her grandson. The boy, who had already seen through Lulu's true form, was very puzzled as to why she wanted to help him so much. Lulu hit herself. She continued to say that when Grandma sees a skinny child, she just wants to feed him. You don't need to repay me, just live on well. The boy sensed the detachment in Lulu's words. Red lines continuously spread throughout his body, seeing Lulu's expression full of concern. The boy suddenly felt a bit helpless. Originally, whether he was upset or not didn't matter to him. But now he really wanted to tell her not to cry, not to shed tears. The next second, a melodious voice filled with complex emotions sounded again. Her singing was terrible. It saved the boy's life because of this. The moment the voice rang out, the boy suddenly felt relaxed in body and mind. As if he was standing on vast territory, it was also at this moment that he understood the girl's heart. Lulu turns her head and finds the Duke staring at her intently. How did you hear those words? Lulu used to be like him before. Even talking about the future was a luxury. She just wanted to be free quickly and rest well, but when she really didn't have to worry about surviving anymore. She understood what she liked and disliked and realized how wrong it was to think that death meant liberation. Lulu unhesitatingly grasped the boy's hand, telling him to be full of confidence in the future. By then, there would surely be things he wanted to do and people he wanted to protect. From his moment on, the boy's condition visibly improved. Lulu was also relieved because of this. Just one more use of the singing ability would completely cure him. The magicians were shocked by this. Why was there such a strong ether reaction in this room? Lulu immediately broke out in a cold sweat. She could only make up a story about using spiritual power to open acupoints. That's how ether was used to produce this result. Everyone seemed to have a sudden realization. It started praising Lulu as expected to the bloodline of Paradin. However, the Duke had a serious expression. He called Lulu out of the room. Lulu, don't you have something to tell me? Sure enough, Dad knew everything. I'm sorry, I promised you I wouldn't go to that room, but I didn't keep my promise. Lulu thinks she's being suspected. One wrong move could be fatal. It was clear that Dad was very angry today. It wasn't something that could be easily appeased. At this moment, he noticed the assistant's strange behavior nearby. His mouth opened and closed like a goldfish. After a second of confusion, he suddenly understood. She quickly kissed her father on the cheek. I am sorry, Dud, please forgive me, okay? How could the Duke bear to punish such an adorable daughter? So he also kissed Lulu on the cheek. Now it was the turn of the two sister-obsessed brothers to be jealous. He gave each of them a kiss too, only then did they settle down. Since that boy is your slave, you need to know about this matter as well. As it turned out, the Duke had investigated the restrictions on the boy's body. He discovered that the boy was of royal bloodline, and the malicious restrictions were also related to the royal family. Unexpectedly, it was exactly the same as Lulu's previous speculation, but the demon said that child was a dangerous person, and the royal family had tortured him to a fate worse than death. It seemed there was no hope to be seen in him. This made Lulu think about what name to give the boy. Trembling, she explains, when Uncle met that man, I was polishing Uncle's shoes. The assistant is puzzled. For years, the Duke's mansion has been giving them our key. But due to the side effects of her ability, she coughed up blood again. She fainted in front of the boy like this. He had wanted to have a cool farewell. Unexpectedly, she suddenly coughed up blood and fainted. Just now, Lulu had finally thought of a name for the boy. So she came here again, muttering to herself that seeds have infinite possibilities. I also like those plots where villains become great beings. The boy was puzzled by these inexplicable words, but Lulu continued, what kind of person you become is up to you. Don't let others control your life anymore. And she took out a beautiful rose. Along with the key and controller for the restraints, she handed them all over. Your name will be Sid. I hope you can live freely from now on. The boy still looked confused. But the next second, the girl violently coughed up a pool of blood. She smiled weakly like this and fell straight down. The boy experienced these complex emotions for the first time, whether it was having restrictions carved into his soul, or being drugged and sold as a slave, or even when receiving his birth mother's severed head. He had never felt like this before. He couldn't accept the scene before him. An astronomical sum for living expenses every month. Why would the young lady need to do such servant work? Lulu frantically explains it's not like that. He felt this must be a nightmare caused by the restrictions, but even so, he couldn't allow any possibility of Lulu getting hurt. He carried the girl and rushed out of the room to find a doctor, but was stopped at the door by Salomon and Ares. That restraint was injected with power. The demonic energy should be paralyzing all your nerves now. How are you enduring it? My sister barely saved your life. You can't die now. Saying this, they pushed him back into the room. The words they just said kept echoing in Sid's ears. Looking at the pool of blood on the bed, he couldn't come to his senses for a long time. So that girl had coughed up blood and fainted in order to help him remove the restrictions. What a bad person. She arbitrarily became his master, arbitrarily saved him, and now arbitrarily abandoned him. Suddenly, his eyes became determined. If that's the case, I will live on, as you said, no longer living according to others' ideas, including yours. After a long time, Lulu finally woke up, but she found that the boy had disappeared without a trace. As if he had never appeared at all. Uncle said father didn't give money and abandoned me, so I needed to wash dishes, mop floors, and clean. Although she knew this day would come, she didn't expect to not even be able to say goodbye and ended so abruptly. The two people beside her could feel her overwhelming disappointment, but Lulu suddenly slapped the table and stood up. That's not the point now. I heard that person will arrive at the Duke's mansion within a week. That person who will become the stepmother, a 5-year-old girl about to have a second mother. She's a relative of the Empress. She has a daughter, normally she couldn't become the Duke's wife. But the Duke once said that unmarried women would make him feel pressured in order to refuse the royal family. So the royal family adapted. They chose the divorced Mrs. Apelia, although on the surface it's to discuss merits and obtaining land. In reality, it's a definite matchmaking and political marriage. Lulu knew her father was still young and would marry sooner or later. But he should choose for himself, not accept the royal family's arrangement. But it seemed like she was the only one in the entire mansion who was so excited. Even her brothers looked indifferent. Could it be that Mrs. Apelia is actually a very good person? Only then would he take me in and give me food. No one present believes it. Maybe she could completely become a part of Pei Radon. Soon the time came. A week later, Mrs. Apelia arrived with her daughter as promised. Lulu approached first to investigate, seeing that the woman didn't show any displeasure of being greeted by servants. She couldn't make a judgment yet. It seemed she needed to continue observing. The next morning, they would have lunch with Mrs. Apelia, but because she wasn't notified early, Lulu was now round and plump. So to a digestion, she was walking frantically in the garden. At this time, she noticed a little girl nearby. She curiously approached to ask what she was doing. Seeing the girl crouching with a pale face, she suspected she wasn't feeling well. After all, the mansion was surrounded by magical aura. It was very unfriendly to children with weak resistance, but unexpectedly, a sudden growling sound was heard. It turned out the girl was just hungry. The enthusiastic Lulu immediately grabbed her, inviting her to raid the kitchen. They were preparing for lunch there. She sheds tears of sadness. She even considers ending it all, but immediately tells herself not to be so fragile. The Marquis is known to do it on his daughter. How could he do such a thing to a child? Lulu tries her best to make her tone more fitting for her age, but she still fails to gain the trust of those present, fearing for her life over one sentence. There must be many delicious things. So when lunchtime came, Lulu's belly was about to burst. She couldn't eat anything at all. There's a type of hunger called Dad thinks you're hungry. The Duke used a fist-sized diamond as bait to make him eat meat, then used a golden brooch to make him eat vegetables. Apilia praised them from the side, saying their relationship was so good. This directly opened the Duke's floodgates of speech. This child loves me so much, says I'm the best, feels sorry for me and applies medicine, always wants me to hug and kiss her cheeks. Apelia at this time was like a praise robot. She could only express amazement and agreement absent-mindedly. This made Lulu very confused. Was the woman in front of her an ally or a well-disguised royal spy? The lunch ended without any gains. It was also at this time that Mrs. Apelia's daughter Cynthia made her appearance. The two greeted each other friendly. She immediately kneels down and starts polishing shoes. Tears of grievance keep falling as she tries hard to mimic that scene, just hoping to be believed. Cynthia suddenly exclaimed happily, "Our age difference is just right." These words made Lulu, whose imagination was like a black hole, freeze on the spot. Could it be that her goal wasn't Dad, but to marry me? She had an extraordinary imagination, thinking the girl had come for herself. But unexpectedly, the real goal was everything she possessed. The first thing was the Duke's attention. Your Grace, please give me a protective barrier. Normally, a child this big wouldn't be harmed by magical aura in a short time. But seeing the girl refusing to leave, the Duke didn't say anything more. He casually added a layer of protection for her, so Cynthia excitedly hugged Lulu and rushed out of the room like that to create an opportunity for her mother. Soon the two arrived at Lulu's room. Cynthia was immediately captivated by the expensive toys in the room. She even set her eyes on the jewels on Lulu's head. "You're not old enough to wear these things yet, are you?" "It would suit me better." Lulu saw through her little thoughts and retorted, "Only Lulu, who is cute enough to conquer the world, suits you." "Enough, who are you questioning?" Instantly, the Duke's angry magical energy passes through Lulu, choking everyone present, made you recall meaningless memories. "I'm not as cute, am I?" Cynthia immediately became angry and embarrassed, but she still found an excuse, saying the style was too childish and indeed suited Lulu better. Saying this, she started rummaging through the room on her own. "I heard that children who touch other people's things without permission are bad kids." "So what, will soon become family anyway?" Lulu immediately understood she could find out the truth from a girl. So with a few words, she got out of her. It turned out they were the Queen's people, using the territory as an excuse to approach the Duke. Cynthia was completely immersed in the joy of gaining a Duke as a father. She believed that the Duke's protective barrier was his tacit approval for her to stay here. So she said very arrogantly, "You should call my mom Mom too and call me Big Sister off. But there's never been a duchess in the Duke's mansion, so it's normal that you don't know anything." "Are you mocking me for not having a mother and lacking family education?" Cynthia's face suddenly changed. She retorted sarcastically, "Overreacting to others' concern will make people think you're feeling guilty." The Duke, feeling heartache, wants to pat his daughter but still withdraws his hand. This was too much to bear. At this moment, a system task arrived. It required uncovering the true purpose and thoughts of the two. The reward was 3,000 gold coin lottery tickets. Lulu was confidently preparing to respond when suddenly her two brothers pushed open the door. They were competing to play with her. Cynthia immediately got excited. These two handsome guys were also her second brother and younger brother. She started chatting familiarly. "I suddenly remembered Dad's birthday is coming up soon." Lulu looked completely confused. Cynthia asked back, "I'm talking about His Grace the Duke. Don't tell me you don't even know your own father's birthday." Lulu indeed didn't know about this, while the two brothers said father doesn't like noisy parties. So everyone knew when Dad's birthday was except for herself. Lulu fell into deep self-blame. Cynthia suddenly accused Lulu of dirtying her clothes. Saying this, she pushed her into the room and her words were still annoying. "Is it necessary to buy such good clothes for a child? And you don't even know how to cherish them." Indeed, a duchess is needed for children to grow up proper and tidy. "You don't even know His Grace's birthday, but he'll soon become my dad and I'll help him celebrate his birthday properly." Understanding his intention, Lulu quickly grabs the magical energy. The raging Duke is instantly pacified. Lulu's face grew increasingly dark and she even felt dizzy, but Cynthia didn't notice at all. After carelessly stuffing the clothes to Lulu, she ran outside to get friendly with Salomon and Aries. It was time to make a satisfying move. The suddenly appearing girl tried to steal everything. She kept trying to get close to the two brothers of the Duke's mansion. But the moment Lulu came out after changing clothes, the two brothers' eyes immediately focused on her. "My sister looks good in anything she wears. Come here, let me brush your hair." Cynthia tried to get attention again by mentioning the Duke's birthday gift and sarcastically asked Lulu again. It was time to start the exciting story plot, but unexpectedly, Salwyn beat her to it. He gave a brief but sharp glare. One brother was direct, the other sarcastic. It scared the girl so much she fled in panic. Lulu, who was interrupted, glared at Salwyn unhappily. He hugs his daughter tightly in his arms. Not knowing how much time has passed, Lulu slowly wakes up in the bedroom. This made Aries mistakenly think Lulu liked that girl, so he asked sadly, "Do you like me or do you like him?" "I feel like you care more about him. It makes me a bit sad." Lulu firmly declared that her brother was the best in the world. Only then was the second brother slightly comforted. "But what birthday gift have you prepared for Dad? Why prepare that kind of thing? He can buy whatever he wants himself." "But gifts contain the giver's feelings, so what? You can't eat feelings." The brothers' constant rebuttals made Lulu angry. All right, I get it. When it's Sallow and Aria's birthdays, I won't need to give gifts either. This time, the two brothers were completely shocked. Screams of anguish echoed throughout the mansion. That night, Lulu fell into a daze. She even fell upset for not knowing her dad's birthday. She unexpectedly lost her temper at the maid. Just then, the Duke suddenly appeared. They said you were in a bad mood, so I came to check. You look like a little dog caught in the rain. Lulu's face was full of dejection and self-blame. I didn't know your birthday, so I couldn't prepare a gift in advance. The Duke saw his daughter's guilt. He hugged the small person tightly, telling her she didn't need to prepare anything. She thought it was the maid Anna who brought her back. Just accepting his love was enough, seeing Lulu insist on giving a gift. He no longer objected. Whatever you give, I'll like it. However, the next day, Mrs. Apilia actually wanted to stop this birthday party. Because this was the Duke's first birthday since returning from the battlefield, it wouldn't be appropriate to not celebrate like before. Everyone was speechless because organizing the mansion's banquet was the mistress's responsibility. The Duke also made his stands clear at this time. Are you looking down on period on? How could I possibly entrust a banquet held after 4 years to an unrelated outsider? The woman nervously explained that she didn't mean anything else, just got a bit anxious. Just then, the girl's clear voice rang out. Then we definitely can't let Annie handle it. How can we entrust Paradin's banquet to someone who gets anxious and meddles without understanding the situation? Am I right? The ill-intentioned woman, Auntie, actually dared to dream of becoming the mistress of the Duke's mansion, volunteering to take charge of the grand banquet held once in a few years. Lulu saw through her intentions at a glance. She pointed it out directly without mercy. If you appear as the host on my dad's birthday, what will people think? And this isn't a village, how can the banquet be simple? At this point, the Duke said hosting a party like the New Year's banquet would be quite nice. So my good daughter, would you like to try taking charge of the preparations? Apelia, who didn't get her way, put on airs again. Seeing no one around, she quickly took out the old family heirloom to study it. She managed her expression while suppressing her anger. She said she wanted to guide Lulu on how to host a good banquet. After all, it's your first time doing this, but I have a lot of successful experience. Lulu politely declined on the spot. Auntie, have you ever hosted a palace party? If not, then it's hard to say. After all, we're not on the same level as other families. The woman could no longer keep her composure, but Lulu didn't intend to let it go at that. Our family's head butler is very capable, so let's leave the preparations to him. This moved Chadwick deeply. He vowed to serve the young lady to the death. After resolving the matters here, Lulu immediately turned a leaf. Now it's time to clean house. The guests seem to be staying longer than expected. It looks like it's time for a big cleaning to properly entertain the guests. Alka understood and decided to call everyone for a grand cleaning. So the two visiting mother and daughter were notified to move to the courtyard to enjoy the scenery. The moment she opened the book, a dazzling light burst forth. This would probably last for about 2 hours. Obviously, this action angered them. It also brought a sense of crisis. Because the discussion about the thief had ended, there was no excuse to continue staying here. If this continued, they would leave empty-handed. The angry Cynthia immediately had an idea. She decided to target the two young Duke's sons. She had long hoped to become a maid in Paradin's palace. She had even already assumed that identity. She took Lulu's jeweled hairpin. She happily thought about the handsome two brothers. It was as if she had already become their favorite. The next second, she bumped into something. Looking down, she saw what had fallen on the ground. Lulu, what's going on? Why did my things fall out from your body? Cynthia panicked, not knowing how to explain. The originally tattered book became brand new. What forbidden magic could be inside this new book? Just then, she heard Dana's voice from nearby, so she immediately pushed the blame onto her. Even if you want it so badly, you shouldn't steal. Lulu, please forgive her. If she's caught, she'll be severely punished. So I was about to return it for her. Lulu naturally knew that Cynthia was framing someone else because she already knew the hairpin had been stolen earlier. That's why she set up this trap. She couldn't let Cynthia get away with it, so she said very seriously, Dana, is what she's saying true? She set a trap to lure out the annoying thieves. She wanted to use this to drive the person away, but she didn't expect the other party to drag in a scapegoat. Seeing Cynthia's smug expression, Lulu was so angry her teeth itched. It was as if she was a saint and Lulu was the bad person trying to frame her. If that's really the case, Dana should be able to answer my question. What does the hairpin you still look like? Dana had never seen the item, so how could she describe it? She hesitated and guessed it had a bow. She must survive in this world that she rates 0 out of 10. When she opened it with excitement, she was instantly dumbfounded. Cynthia immediately anxiously added, "What you meant to say is there's no bow on it, right? You need to speak clearly." Seeing this, Lulu scolded harshly. "If you say one more word, I'll reasonably assume you're trying to manipulate the situation to create false evidence." Cynthia wanted to say something to salvage the situation, but the two brothers had already issued their final warning. "If you've forgotten the style, you should at least know the basic color, right?" Dana still couldn't say anything, but fearing abuse, she immediately took the blame. Her trembling appearance reminded Lulu of her former self. "It's okay, you can get up." The girl didn't have time to react. Blood started flowing from her nose. She collapsed to the ground. Clearly, this was caused by the demonic energy of the Paradin family. Logically, the Duke wouldn't refuse to apply a protective barrier, so the only explanation was that Cynthia did it intentionally. "Quickly take Dana to the infirmary, then call Dad over." Cynthia, fearing her malicious actions would be exposed, tried to stop them. The book was blank. The next second, a pop-up appeared, summoning medium seal removed. But she was stopped by Lulu's sharp glare. Just then, a new task appeared. It was to save the poor little girl. Soon, Dana received treatment. After applying the protective barrier, the Duke felt a sense of fear, afraid that the person lying there could have been his precious daughter. Although he applied a protective barrier for Lulu every day, he would still silently watch over her while she slept to ensure her safety. After dealing with it, Lulu walked out of the rooms. She found her two brothers staying far away from her, obviously afraid that the demonic energy on their bodies would have a negative effect on their sister, but Lulu ran straight to them and hugged them. "Look, aren't I very healthy?" The two finally smile with relief. "We hope you could have friends of the same gender, so we've been suppressing our demonic energy and didn't do anything. We didn't expect this to happen. Making our sister sad is another matter entirely. Should I kill her?" Only then did Lulu realize this was the reason they tolerated Cynthia. The girl had used all her strength to appease her Duke father, gaining the unsealed skill of the family heirloom. "She's my prey, none of you can touch her. I want to open this soda bottle myself." Although they didn't understand what the last sentence meant, it didn't stop them from thinking their sister was very cool. Lulu's first step was to investigate the enemy. She quietly came to the mother and daughter's room through a secret passage. She listened to all their secret conversations. "Children born with defects are always favored, so the person you need to please is the little maid. And I have my own ways. After all, men are born foolish creatures. They are destined to be unable to escape from women." So she wanted to use the so-called beauty strategy. The woman attempted to sneak into the Duke's room to use her charms. This was overheard by the Duke's daughter hiding in the shadows. Jogged and suspicious, she wondered if this was an all-ages fantasy novel. She absolutely wouldn't allow this to happen. Just then, Dana pushed open the door and came in. Suddenly, a system sound rang out. "Please use gold coins to summon novel extraction ability." It was clear that she had recovered well, but Cynthia, in order to stay here longer, made her pretend to look uncomfortable and in pain. "It's all the Audish's fault with so many accessories. Why make a fuss over just one?" Apelia chimed in. "I don't like daughters who are too greedy. It seems you've spoiled her too much. I'll educate her well in the future." The two laughed with cunning expressions, as if they could already see the beautiful future of becoming the masters of this mansion. They fearlessly discussed the upcoming birthday party. Unexpectedly, even the gifts involved the Empress's participation. In order to hear more clearly, Lulu inched forward bit by bit, but accidentally bumped into a book making a noise. It instantly drew the attention of the two. The air suddenly went quiet. Lulu was scared out of her wits, afraid of being caught on the spot. She turned her head and met Dana's eyes, just when she thought it was all over. Dana said it was the sound of a book falling. Relieved, Lulu also noticed the fear in the girl's eyes. Reward 1,000 gold coins. Unexpectedly, it gave a desired task right from the start. Despite being so afraid, she still bravely covered for her. At that moment, Lulu made up her mind. She would do her best to help Dana in the future. Just then, the wet nurse came in with a tray of lemon slices. Cynthia very naturally rushed forward. The two were as close as a real mother and daughter. Then she angrily turned to Clara. Dana, she scolded, "What are you looking at? Your biggest problem is that you covet things that don't belong to you without knowing your place. Do you know how much I suffered when the wet nurse was carrying you? I'll let the wet nurse to you. The wet nurse should belong to me alone." Then she made an outrageous statement, "Only I would forgive your mistakes. Anyone else definitely wouldn't let you off, you know?" Lulu's pupils shook. She could understand how Cynthia could say such things. So she secretly vowed to make sure Dana would find happiness. A few days later, the birthday party was held as scheduled. Looking at the perfect party prepared in just 5 days, Apilia unconsciously felt a bit flustered. In contrast, Cynthia was already impatient. Lulu waved her arm casually, but there was no response. Based on countless reading experiences, it must be that. She believed she would definitely be the most dazzling presence today. After all, the dress she wore was a gift from the Empress. However, the next moment, the sound of several people entering was heard. The mother and daughter were completely stunned. Who could have imagined that Lulu's flower crown would outshine the rare phantom beast egg? The highly anticipated party began. Lulu was held tightly in the Duke's arms. This made Cynthia almost go mad with jealousy. The next moment, the aloof Duke proudly showed off his daughter. The vassals also nodded and agreed excitedly. The mother and daughter almost couldn't suppress their bitterness. Mrs. Apilia immediately adjusted her emotions because the gift-giving session was about to begin. They would surely be able to steal the spotlight then. Soon, various precious and exquisite gifts were presented. There were mermaid tear pearls symbolizing God's blessing and an ancient treasure, the double flower cloak. The high quality was unexpected for the two of them. Finally, it was Apilia's turn. At this moment, Lulu left the venue. After confirming no one was around, she recited that shouldn't be like incantation. This made Cynthia think she was too ashamed to stay, so she smiled smugly and wished the Duke a happy birthday. But the Duke just nodded coldly without giving any extra reaction. "To celebrate your Grace's birthday, we mother and daughter have prepared a small gift." As the cloth was slowly lifted, everyone present was amazed because it was the legendary phantom beast egg. If one's luck wasn't good enough, it would be hard to obtain even with great ability. Mrs. Apilia showed a satisfied smile because she thought the Duke's attention was also attracted by this gift. But when she looked carefully, she found that the Duke's gaze had fallen elsewhere, and as she looked in that direction, she saw something black and fuzzy moving behind the screen. The next second, the little one sweetly called out "Papa" while rushing forward at top speed. As the cloak fell, the Lu, dressed as a bouquet, appeared before everyone. The father and two sons were instantly enchanted. They called for painters, sculptors, and mural artists to come, determined to record Lulu's adorable appearance no matter how much it cost. "Oh, being with ice cold blood like soda, I hope you appear before me immediately. Show the power to shatter frustrating plots." Lulu wanted to ask if her father liked her gift, but the next second she was scooped up and cuddled tightly. Then the Duke ordered the servants to clean up the gifts without giving them a single extra glance. Just then, the famous designer Yutra appeared. Although he hadn't received an invitation to the party, he still brought a congratulatory gift. The Duke initially looked indifferent, but when he heard the gift was matching outfits for him and Lulu, his eyes instantly lit up. The two brothers were also incredibly envious. The designer had to say that due to time constraints, he hadn't finished yet but would send them over as soon as they were done. Cynthia was completely stunned because Yutra had publicly stated he would no longer make clothes for girls. But unexpectedly, he was making them specially for Lulu alone. After the party ended, both of them wore faces of defeat and anger. But Apilia clearly wasn't going to give up so easily. A malicious plan surfaced once again. The little maid used a small trick to catch the woman who wanted to sneak into bed red-handed. This was really embarrassing. Fortunately, it did trigger the plot. On the evening after the party ended, Cynthia ran into the designer Yutra alone. The Baroness immediately excitedly went up to chat. As a super fan, she had seen every album ever published. Even her dream was to attend social gatherings wearing gowns he designed. When she learned that a new album was about to be released, she was so excited she couldn't speak. However, the next second she was stunned, because Yutra's clothes this time were all for 4 to 5-year-old girls. So Cynthia couldn't wear them at all. Just then, one of Lulu's support team members appeared with images. It instantly caused a commotion. It turned out to be a recording of Lulu opening gifts after the party ended. Although the items were given to the Duke, people with insight would look for things suitable for Lulu. Therefore, in the eyes of the two brothers, the mermaid's tears scored 0 points. Although beautiful, it couldn't be worn, and since they wouldn't go to the seaside for now, it would just be a decoration in the room. Hearing the word seaside, Lulu's eyes immediately lit up. Papa, do you need that thing? Please state the name of the novel you want to summon. My choice is, although it's a rich family I want to escape, as long as there's money, I won't have to worry about being kicked out anytime. Not really. If you want it, act cute and I might consider giving it to you, after getting 2 kisses as you wished. Lulu received the mermaid's tears and the rare phantom beast egg. No one knew if it could hatch or what would hatch from it. So take good care of it. Everyone was touched after watching this. They all wanted to transform into items worn by Lulu. This scene shocked and angered Cynthia. The hard-to-obtain phantom beast egg was easily given to this girl. However, what broke her even more was that the muse of inspiration mentioned by her idol Yutra was also Lulu. This extremely distorted her entire being. Meanwhile, Apilia, dressed scantily, came to the Duke's room. There were no guards here, which suited her perfectly. She took off her cloak without saying a word. Then in an extremely seductive manner she said, "Your Grace. Don't you find a long night lonely and sleepless? Let me comfort your solitude." The girl is completely dumbfounded on the spot. She never thought such an absurd thing would happen to her. Soon it's cousin Clara's birthday party. This year she's wearing another custom-made luxury dress. However, the words insufficient gold coins appeared. Suddenly, Lulu on the bed shouted, "There's a thief." Instantly, the lights came on and everyone rushed into the room. The scene became extremely awkward. "Papa, why is this Anne tired? And she's only wrapped in a piece of cloth." This question made the Duke very embarrassed. Even the maids hurriedly covered Lulu's eyes. But unexpectedly, she said with sudden realization, "I know why Annie sneaked in a bed under the cover of night." As always, still poor and destitute, suddenly the system prompted again. "Do you want to use the 5,000 gold coin lottery ticket?" Lulu happily responded loudly, praying to get 5,000 gold coins. But after the congratulations, she only got 100 gold coins. Now she has a total of 1,100 gold coins. Her luck was as bad as ever. Suddenly, she remembered there was another unconfirmed message earlier. Lulu didn't have high hopes. Unexpectedly, the reward was a novel rental ticket for a full 3 days. This was even better than 5,000 gold coins. Lulu happily knelt and bowed towards the direction of the Duke's office. It seems the most important thing now is to collect gold coins. Suddenly, the maid's voice came from outside the door. Lulu quickly hit the book. "You must be hungry. Seeing you sleeping so soundly, I didn't wake you up. I didn't expect you to sleep so deeply on His Grace's lap." It said that one dress alone could buy a mansion. Lulu hides in the darkness, feeling miserable, but Clara deliberately dirties her own shoes. Lulu could hardly believe what she heard. "At first, you were just nodding off. Later, you simply sprawled out and fell into a deep sleep." Everyone couldn't help but laugh. "It was His Grace himself who carried you back." Lulu now really felt like dying. "Dad must think I'm very troublesome." Lucy hurriedly explained, "His Grace really loves you very much. Usually he finds even taking measurements troublesome, but today he ordered the tailor to come and make custom clothes for you. So he's just a bit unfamiliar with these things." Other maids also agreed. "Since he came, we often see His Grace showing a different side than before. After all, the people of the Duke's family are different from ordinary people. Lulu was very confused about what this meant. Lucy quickly signaled to avoid this topic. Therefore, Lulu believed that the Paradin family must be hiding some secret. She needs to find a way to inquire about it. Meanwhile, Lulu's Marquis uncle was furious. Because of the Duke's intervention, he lost all his investments. Even the bank refused to extend the loan repayment. Could it be that the Duke knew about his rumors? As a result, Lulu once again becomes the humiliated servant. The vicious man came up with a plan. He called his daughter Clara, wanting her to go to the Duke's mansion to investigate. Don't you miss your cousin? Go to the Duke's mansion and see how she's doing. That's under Clara didn't see Lulu as a sister at all. She thought that even if they were to meet, Lulu should come see her. After the Marquis' disdain and flattery, she reluctantly agreed. With a condescending attitude, this young lady will personally visit. He must be extremely grateful. At this moment, Lulu, who was dining, couldn't help but sneeze. The girl wanted to bribe the maid, so she carefully drew a picture. Maid Anna praised her after seeing it, saying the glass she drew was very good. But Lulu pouted and said she guessed wrong. This is a picture of me holding hands with Sister Anna. Anna was moved to tears after hearing this. I will treat it as a family heirloom enshrined for generations to come. Although Lulu didn't understand, she was greatly shocked. She drew one for each of the other sisters, too. Some said they would take the drawing to their graves. Some said they would cover their rooms with it and look at it every night before sleep. Some saw the heart on it and immediately took out a knife, wanted to dig out their hearts to offer to Lulu. The originally very rational adults have become so crazy. What are you doing? Isn't a week of hunger enough? Do you want another beating? The girl is utterly humiliated. Just then, Anna said it was time for a walk. Today, they were going to the glass greenhouse. Lulu was eager to go see it, but because she ran too fast, she fell on her bottom. Suddenly, the Duke appeared in front of her. He asked what she was doing. I fell down. The Duke was very confused as to why, and I explained that children often fall down. The Duke put his hands in his pockets and scoffed disdainfully, how weak. The hurting Lulu reached out her hand and whined, Dad, will you help me up? The old father sighed and silently picked her up. After seeing his daughter's injured knee, his face instantly darkened. He strode towards the bedroom with her. Looking at the wound that was getting darker, he decided to personally apply medicine to his daughter. The maids nearby whispered, Can His Grace apply it properly? Won't he make the young lady's injury worse? Large tears fall uncontrollably from her eyes. At this moment, her long-absent Duke father suddenly appears. But to everyone's surprise, although the Duke's movements were stiff, they were very gentle. He was extremely careful, afraid of hurting his daughter. This made Lulu feel touched and warm inside. Your Grace, the clothing store has sent someone and the meeting is about to start. You should put the young lady down. The Duke's expression turned gloomy. He walked out with Lulu without saying a word. The vassals who were originally waiting for the meeting could only follow behind. At this moment, in the third reception room, the clothing store staff were discussing heatedly. For many consecutive years, they had been making dresses for this legendary little princess. Each piece was priceless, they didn't know what she looked like. The tailor Yutra was even more nervous. The characteristics of the Duke's family's direct bloodline were black hair, blood-red eyes, and a powerful aura fiercer than wild beasts. So he kept brainwashing himself. Even if she looked like a miniature version of the Duke, he shouldn't look too disappointed. However, when he turned his head, he was instantly stunned. He even had a nosebleed. What was the deal with this petite and adorable little girl? It wasn't until the Duke coldly told her to take measurements that he came to his senses. He sternly questions, My daughter's hair doesn't seem to be blonde. The poor girl, chosen by the deity to enter the fantasy world, was born with beauty rivaling Mabel's. However, the Duke was reluctant to put his daughter down. He directly measured her while holding her. Seeing this, Yutra began to use his designer's way of handling things. The young lady is so obediently lying in your arms, she must really like you. The Duke was overjoyed inside, but outwardly he was the Sandara she insists on clinging to me. It's really troublesome. The vassals also seemed to receive the signal and began to flatter him. Our young lady indeed likes your Grace very much. Last time she sat on your Grace's lap and slept so comfortably. Look, the young lady is hugging the Duke tightly. Doesn't your Grace look cute? My son doesn't even recognize me as his father. I'm really envious of you, Your Grace. The Duke's smile was harder to suppress than an AK-47. He quickly tried to regain his serious demeanor. A vassal nearby attacked again. Young lady, how much do you like His Grace? Everyone had "Dad is the best" written all over their faces. However, the next second Lulu raised her hand. She made a gesture with her fist, saying this much. She just made a small gesture with her hand. Everyone present instantly broke into a cold sweat. They even thought about where they would be buried. Yet her own uncle treated her as a servant and abused her in countless ways. Today, her Duke father, unseen for years, finally returns from the battlefield. But unexpectedly, Lulu changed her tone. Minus this tiny bit, I like all of it. My love for Dad is like the entire universe. Minus just this tiny bit. The vassals were all touched by her cuteness, exclaiming that an angel had descended. However, the Duke stared at her and said, I didn't hear clearly just now. Lulu knew what this meant. So she embarrassedly repeated it once more. Did you all hear what my daughter said? We heard it. The young lady really loves Your Grace. You're so deeply loved by your daughter. I really want to know what your secret is. The Duke was already secretly delighted. The next second, he actually asked why mine is that tiny bit. Lulu hadn't thought about this question before. She instinctively answered, because I want to stay with you forever and ever, so I'm sure I'll like you even more. The Duke hadn't expected that he was so important in his daughter's heart. He shyly turned his head away, not daring to make eye contact, but this made Lulu misunderstand. Yutra, who was nearby, started comparing the clothes he brought. He comes to the Marquis mansion immediately. The uncle frantically tries to cover up his actions. He found that the size was much smaller than before. He didn't know that the previous clothes had been falsely claimed by the Marquis and given to his daughter Clara. However, trying on the styles was still not a problem, but the Duke refused again to put his daughter down to try them on. He directly bought all the clothes, saying, I'll take them all, just modify them according to her size. The designer exclaimed that he had struck it rich. You should know that each piece was priceless, but I have one condition. The sleeve should either fit perfectly or be made shorter. Lulu instantly remembered what happened a few days ago. She understood that the Duke didn't want to remind her of that past. Sad memory of polishing shoes for others. She was so touched that she buried her face in her father's chest. Clara, the daughter of Marquis Chin, came uninvited. The moment she saw the Duke's mansion, her eyes lit up. The level of luxury was simply breathtaking. However, this was only the Duke's guest house. When a carriage stopped at the main house, Clara was questioned by the butler. I haven't received any news that Ms. Clara of the Telenka Marquis was coming. Clara disdainfully stated that she didn't need permission to visit her cousin. Then she strode and boldly. He claims Lulu is just a servant working in the house, but how could the Duke not recognize his own child? The moment the door opened, the luxury of this place left her in awe. Then suddenly, the Duke's portrait appeared. His handsome appearance already made Clara switch sides. She even started fantasizing about being doted on by the Duke as his daughter. It is said that Duke Paratone cannot feel sadness. Such people are often lonely. Uncle must also hope that I can get close to him to ease his loneliness. This is something that dirty, illegitimate daughter can't do. Clara thought excitedly, as if she would possess everything the next second. But when she pushed open the door and saw Lulu, she was stunned. Was her hair color always like this? She's like a completely different person. How did she manage that? The White Lotus came to the Duke's mansion, intending to embarrass her cousin. Unexpectedly, her formerly dirty cousin was now unrecognizable. Seeing that she was being ignored, Clara gritted her teeth and called Lulu thick-skinned. Lulu wasn't going to indulge her. Coming over without even a greeting, aren't you the one with thicker skin? Clara's face turned red from embarrassment, but in just a second she regained that annoying face. I came here only because you said you missed me so much, but you treat me like this. Isn't that too shameless? After all, you're not the Duke's daughter. He deliberately asks this shabby girl she couldn't be the daughter of House Pei-on. Could she? Lulu's heart skips a beat. Her words are almost pleading even so. Those few words made Lulu collapse. Clara smiled triumphantly. I heard from my father. Your mother had an affair and gave birth to you, a dirty, illegitimate child. How can someone like you be so shameless, staying at the Duke's mansion under the Paratone name? While Lulu was immersed in sadness, a sudden task popped up. Quick, completely change this choking plot like a sweet potato. Success reward 2,000 gold coin lottery tickets, failure punishment. The reincarnator's special abilities will temporarily disappear. Although it was an unfamiliar task window, there was a familiar feeling. Her fighting spirit was instantly ignited. Are you talking to me? Who else is here besides you? Clara was very angry. How dare someone like you ignore me? Lulu didn't care at all. She calmly stated that this was just the beginning. This angered Clara greatly, wearing pretty clothes and not knowing your place. My uncle only took you in out of pity. If you're so arrogant, you'll be kicked out. It seems my father's education hasn't had much effect on you. Lulu fought back, bringing out the attitude befitting her status. Miss Talenka, how dare you address me, a Paratone Palace maid? So rudely you should call me Lady Maid. Haven't you learned even this basic etiquette? As for why she was chosen, it's even more outrageous. It turns out the deity is a hardcore novel fan. Could you take me with you? I just couldn't claim myself properly, that's why I look like this. I'm good washing clothes and cooking. I can work to pay for my meals. I can even polish your shoes every day. I can make them very, very shiny. Lulu was impressed by her own demeanor, while Clara angrily emphasized she's an illegitimate child born from her mother's affair. Can you take responsibility for what you just said? Of course, then let's go ask about it. After saying that, Lulu rang the bell. She was about to verify with a butler who came. Unexpectedly, Claire suddenly shouted and sat down and started playing the victim to the maid Rain, who rushed over. Why did you say such bad things? I came here for you. Rain clearly still treated Lulu as the former lowly maid. She started scolding Lulu. Lulu was instantly trapped by memories of being beaten before. Fortunately, the Duke's maid sisters had her back. Rain still stubbornly said that Lulu was wrong first. Then she took out a tattered piece of clothing, saying it was a gift Clara prepared for Lulu. Didn't you really want this clothes? I'll overlook those excessive things he said to me. As she speaks, her tears fall uncontrollably. She hurriedly grabs the Duke's trouser leg. Let's make up, after all, I'm the older sister. Lulu didn't know how to count her for a moment. Suddenly, the Duke's cold voice came from behind. The girl who stole my daughter's clothes has so much to say. He was just dazed by his daughter but thought his symptoms were due to a curse. It turns out an hour ago, the Duke was still attending a meeting at the palace. His powerful aura made everyone sweat profusely because opinions couldn't reach a consensus. Someone suggested taking a break before deciding, as they had been meeting for hours. Suddenly, one of the ministers said it was too late, probably no time to buy lightning cream puffs for his daughter. When asked why not let servants buy them, the count said it's not the same as when dad buys them personally. Others also agreed and chimed in. The Duke listened silently. He had already started imagining his daughter happily welcoming him and giving him a kiss. But lightning cream puffs are very popular, probably sold out by now. The Duke seemed to see his daughter's disappointed face. This was something he couldn't tolerate, so his expression became even more frightening. I want to go home, father, please take me with you. Lulu is determined not to let go. Everyone thought it was because the idle chat had angered the Duke. But unexpectedly, the Duke asked this Count Hale where that pastry shop was. It was just a simple question, but the Viscount had already thought about how he would die. So no one dared to speak. Only one clueless person responded, but he also shut up under the Duke's imposing manner. The meeting continued, then the deputy officer came and whispered a few words upon hearing it. The Duke immediately wanted to leave in a hurry. Suddenly there was a commotion. What urgent matter could make the Duke leave in such a hurry? The deputy officer wanted to tell them not to worry. Last time he suddenly left the meeting was because he heard Lulu was cleaning windows at home. He hadn't attended meetings recently because Lulu said she wanted to stick close to him. Today, he just heard Clara came to cause trouble for Lulu compared to Marquis Talenka, using the Duke's family name to deceive people. Their mistreatment of Lulu made the Duke even angrier. This was a very strange thing. After all, the Paladin ducal family was different from ordinary people, born without any emotions and not needing any communication. Unexpectedly, the Duke lifts her up with one hand. He starts walking out like this. But Lulu was completely different. The way His Grace lovingly cares for the young lady is truly heartwarming, because she is of Paladin blood, so I should protect her until she comes of age. Don't you find the young lady cute and lovable? Clearly, the Duke immediately thought of Lulu's smiling face, yet he stubbornly refused to admit it. Your question is not unreasonable. After all, the old monster has more than one or two strange things about her. She falls too easily and she even cries. She tells me she misses me and even kissed my face. She even fell asleep sitting on my lap. What's stranger is, whenever I'm by her side, I always want to feed her. I want to do something for her, I even want to bite her. My heart always feels tingly as if there are insects crawling inside. Looking at it this way, the symptoms are severe both mentally and physically. The emotionless Duke even believed. Just as they're about to leave, the Duke suddenly stops. He uses magic to tear Clara's dress apart on the spot. This was a curse cast by Marquis Talinka using serum. The deputy officer already understood. This was clearly a doting father syndrome, but he didn't say it out loud. He just felt that someday the Duke would know what these abnormal symptoms really were. Before leaving, the Duke asked the deputy to inquire about the pastry shop the nobles mentioned, and also collect information on other shops specializing in pudding, as well as toy stores for children. Then the Duke, with a face full of anger, got into the carriage to return home. The White Lotus dared to slander in front of the doting father Duke. The Duke immediately wanted to teach her a lesson. Just now, the Duke heard that Marquis Tylinka's daughter came to find Lulu. He immediately ended the meeting and rushed home, fearing that Lulu might be harmed. The girl who stole my daughter's clothes has so much to say. Clara, lacking situational awareness, smiled and rushed over. How dare you covet things that aren't yours? The Duke, however, completely ignored her. He walked straight past and picked up his daughter and asked her why she was holding a tattered piece of clothing. This action greatly frustrated the narcissistic Clara. She's just a dirty, illegitimate child. Why does she deserve the Duke's love? She put on a pitiful act. Do you dislike me that much? Even so, I'll forgive you. After all, you were just deceived by lies. I apologize on behalf of my cousin. Uncle Duke repeated the word forgive in confusion. This made Clara happy, thinking she had taken a bait. She lied to you, saying I stole her clothes. Understand, she must have told such lies to gain your favor. That must be why you misunderstood me, right? Lulu had grown up surrounded by malice since childhood. If she couldn't imagine how heartbreaking it would be to be misunderstood by her father. Unexpectedly, the Duke's expression suddenly became very serious. He sternly questioned, then what about the dress I saw before? You're asking for death. When I went to Marquis to link his mansion to pick up my daughter, why were you wearing the dress I prepared for her? Lulu finally realized. So when the Duke said she looked shabby that day, he wasn't dissatisfied with her but with her appearance. At this moment, father and daughter finally cleared up the misunderstanding. Clara, standing nearby, was clearly flustered. She loudly retorted that it was a birthday dress bought by her father as it was every year. Now that Duke knew, his daughter's clothes have been taken away every year. That was my dress. Not this imbecile. The Duke was furious. How dare she insult his daughter like this? Instantly, a demonic aura spread out. Clara fearfully tried to explain. Everyone called her an imbecile, including her father and the people in the mansion. The Duke now seemed like Yama crawling up from the underworld. His pressure was unbearable even for adults, let alone for children. Haven't you heard the rumors about me? Everyone says Duke Paradin is a ruthless killer. A man who can't feel sadness, whose tears are the blood of others. Clara still dared to speak recklessly, calling Lulu a dirty, illegitimate child who stole her position. In fact, Clara's annual dresses were all bought by the Duke for his daughter. The Duke instantly became even more terrifying. His demonic aura went berserk, nearly suffocating Clara. At the last moment, the Duke barely managed to restrain himself. It's better to let you live, get out. After things calmed down, Lulu sat on the Duke's lap drinking milk. She wasn't sure what had just happened. She only felt that it suddenly got dark around her, but it felt very soft and comfortable. When her vision became clear again, everything had already ended. At this moment, the guard suddenly came in and knelt down. The Duke sternly questioned how to punish those who failed to protect the house. Everyone unanimously requested to be put to death. It was my negligence. I failed to look after the young lady. I'm willing to die to atone for my crime.